Hello, hello, hello! Welcome to tonight's show. I should probably make this a full screen so people don't see my chats on the side. So, hello everybody. Welcome to tonight's episode. Tonight is food for thought. The positive benefits adding businesses to your games. So, both of our star speakers have started their own business, so they should be pretty handily in their opinions on this. I'm going to let them introduce themselves as we go on, and I'm just going to go who I see first. So, first up, RG, who you be?
Hey man, how's it going? Basically RG from California, active duty military slash doing business on the side, kind of like side hustle. Own a dog boarding business, and also like sell software for local businesses on the side. Happy to be here.
Sweet. All right, Carl, what about you?
Yeah, my name is Carleigh. My main gig is as a holistic mental wellness coach, which is my like number one business. And I actually have two side gigs as well. I hire out my van when I'm not using it, and I have a little cacao business back in Australia.
That's
So that keeps me busy.
awesome. All right, well, this little bit at the beginning is also our free talk time where you guys can kind of promo and talk about things that you're working on and stuff you want to talk about. Do either of you have things that you want to go over really quick? Again, we'll start with RG.
Um, I guess like if you need like free consultation or anything like that, just go to enzonmedia.com, and then just book a time spot.
Easy peasy. Don't forget to throw that in the chat. It'll be on the stuff later, so you guys will be able to find it. All right, Carly.
Yeah. So it is my mission to guide people towards naturally healing their minds. And I do that through a variety of different ways. And one of those ways is actually a workshop that I have coming up on Wednesday. It's going to be entirely online. You're going to get some really juicy information on how you can start healing today. And I also have a free guide on the first step to overcoming anxiety that you can grab from my website, which is manasmastery.com.
Fantastic. And don't worry if you guys forgot something, we will do this again at the end so you'll have a little bit more time to talk about your stuff. So, let's get into tonight's topic, right? So, usually we define what the heck we're talking about at the beginning because, the silly title is the silly title. So, what we're talking about here is adding businesses or extra subplotty things to your games while we're playing along. Now, since you two are both business experts at this point, you all got a couple side businesses and side hustles. Um, where do you think uh, the real world can connect to these games in a fun way? We'll start ladies first on this one.
Okay. Well, being completely transparent, I have never played the style of games that we're talking about. So it's it's challenging for me to think about in that way. I guess like the first thing that came to mind when you asked me that question was obviously like Twitch, which you guys use. Like I think of Eric Rosen, who is a huge chess human and uses Twitch, and that's actually how he makes his money is through YouTube videos and showing his games on Twitch. So that is a very viable business when you're at a certain level. Now, below that, I guess there's definitely potential for teaching people how to get into these games, like a D&D for beginners. I probably would have used that back when I was in, early university and everyone was talking about D&D and I was like, what is that? That sounds like fun, but like you guys all know what you're doing and I don't, so I don't know if I can really come along. Like there's probably a lot of room for kind of educating people who are maybe interested but maybe don't want to jump right into a full game that takes I don't actually know how long, but I've heard they can take months.
They can take years, they can take decades. It just depends on who you're playing with. They could also take a single afternoon. Like it really
Okay.
does jump around. So I mean, on that note, before we let RG give his two pieces, I was more asking along the lines of like in-game universe, but I'll redefine that question a little bit. So I like where you went with that. So I'm going to go with RG and have him answer the same way, and then I'll ask some more.
Okay. Well, I think like if you have like a series of games, I guess like I don't exactly understand the question as well,
Okay.
like that. But I want to say like if you have like a series of games, like for example, Volume One, Volume Two, whatever, like you can add like kind of like a loyalty program embedded into it, just to kind of like get people to like return and like keep playing your games, and
I'm
maybe like like add like subscription services like for continuity. This way, you're not always looking for like oh my god, where I'm gonna get like this new set of people who's gonna buy my games. Instead, I'll just do like a continuity. Maybe like I don't know, like somewhere from like $5 to $20, kind of like an Xbox model. Like they have like the Game Pass. Something like that is
Well,
what I'm thinking of.
I'm really glad both of you independently described various parts of my business. So I think I'm doing something right. Uh, so to redefine the question a little bit more, in the games that we play, right, it's a role playing perspective, right? So uh, when you guys built one of your businesses, pick one of them. Um, did you have fun? Was there fun and positive aspects, or was it all negative for you? We're gonna start with RG on this one.
Um, to me, like for both businesses, it's always been fun. I'll talk more about the dog boarding. But basically, like when we started it, it was just out of like randomness, like it was just me and my wife talking about. She was kind of like complaining about her job back then. I was like, why don't you just quit your job, And then she was like, what am I gonna do? And then I was like, well, let's start this business. And then we basically just joined this, app for like dog sitters, whatever. And then like we did the background check, and then after that, I remember like the fun aspect for me was like setting up like copywriting for her, kind of like her building her website and all this stuff, because I'm more of a tech nerd, I guess. Um, and she's more of a people person, so she liked meeting like dog owners and all that stuff. And especially like socializing with dogs. That's kind of like where we both have the fun in. Um, but yeah, like it was never like a negative experience. And up until this date, like it's been a fun one. But yeah.
Nice. Okay. So jumping over to Carly. What about you? What are your thoughts? Has it all been bad news, or have you had some fun with it?
No, my businesses have all definitely been passion projects. It's all been things that it's like I already love this thing. I'm good at this thing. How can I now use this talent to make money on the side kind of thing. So it has never been, there's always aspects like I actually really don't enjoy, like RJ, you were saying you like doing the website building and like the behind the scenes stuff. I really don't enjoy that stuff. I'm like your wife. I'm the people person. I want to be, when it's cacao, like I want to be the person at the market who's like getting people stoked on cacao and educating people on the benefits and having people try my
Uh,
cacao and like seeing their face when they enjoy it. And that's the thing that I really enjoy, is actually being out there and like serving my community in a way that is fueling my passion. So yeah, they have absolutely been a lot of fun, and that's why we do it.
Awesome. So taking that thought there, as people play these games, right? They're playing little characters that are going on adventures. Is the easiest way to think about it, right? You talked about living in a van offline a while ago. Basically, these guys are in the same situation. 90% of their stories, they're in a van traveling, fighting big bad evil guys, causing havoc, right? Um, do you think, as a player, it would be a positive experience to take a step away from the fighty, fighty, stabby, stabby, orc die kind of thing, and jump into a more logistical dealing with businessy stuff, whether it's dealing with the people or dealing with the numbers? You look like you're like,
Absolutely.
yeah, I was gonna say, you're non. Go ahead and talk first.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I mean, I think that appeals to me a lot more as someone who's not super into fighting games. Like I'm a lover, not a fighter. I'm like, if you set me up in a game where I get to like create my little shopping cart and take it around and offer tea to all the merchants, like hell yeah, I'm there. And then everybody can come to me after they're exhausted from battle, and I'll be like, here's your, whatever you need to refuel.
Nice. Okay, that's good. RG, what about you?
um, I'm see like the funny part is I'm the opposite version, I guess. Like I like the shooting games and all that stuff. Kind of like Counter Strike, whatever. Um, but yeah, like I really think that like there's a huge benefit if like you step away from like playing games and all this stuff, and kind of like build up some kind of like side hustle for yourself, or like maybe for your family.
Okay.
Not for
But
sure.
definitely like like the skills that you already have, like just what like Carl mentioned earlier. you turned like your passion, your skills, and all that stuff, the things that you've already built up. And I'm sure like it's something that you use when you play games. You know, like you think strategically. It's not just all fun, but like you have something at the back of your brain. It's like, how do I win this game? You know what I mean? Like, so it's something you can also like shift over. As far as like building your business.
Okay, interesting. Speaking about building businesses, one of the concepts that has kind of been talked about is these TTRPGs are a safe space, right? You can basically do whatever you want to
Mm.
do without judgment or fear of true failure or things like that. So, how would you guys feel about building a business in this? We'll say simulation in these games, right? To give it a try, right? To see how the dice could roll possibly. Do you think that would be a beneficial to people that aren't necessarily just doing it for again the pokey pokey stabby stabby shooty shooty?
I think absolutely. It sounds like a great place to kind of try out, like you said, see how the dice roll, see how this idea could pan out, even if it's in a different reality. It could be a good place for people to kind of take that chance on themselves and just see what happens in a way that it's like failure means nothing. It doesn't matter at all. It's still nothing in your life has changed, you know?
Okay, jumping over to RG. What about you? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, exactly. And like to kind of like add with like what just Carl said, you know, like there's like metaverse stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you incorporate like gaming aspects into like business, I think it not only makes it fun for you, but also for your clients, especially because now it's just a unique experience because like now the experience is not just transactional or like conversational, but now there's a more gamified aspect to it.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. So, kind of on that note, RG, you had talked about not being a people person, right? If you had the ability to pretend to be a people person, do you think this would be a safe place for you to do so? So you could work on
Oh,
those
for sure.
skills outside of what you were doing right now?
Yeah, for sure. I remember like before, like I don't really like to talk to people. Like I wouldn't even be doing this, you know, like a few years ago.
Mhm.
But like I think like playing games, um, in some sort of way, like kind of like help with like the communication aspect for me. I used to play this game on mobile. I don't know if you know this. What is it? It's called Rise of Kingdoms,
Okay. Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like a very social game. You know, like it's like stab things. Like you build like kind of like your kingdom, you fight other kingdoms and all that stuff. You do like your strategy and like how to defeat them and all that stuff. But all in all, you know, like you build up your communication skills, kind of like your leadership skills in a way too. You're managing the kingdom and whatnot.
You know, on that note though, like even in that system, there's a big focus on like figuring out farming and doing mercantile stuff and like
Yeah,
trading stuff. So like on that thought, like, do you guys feel like any game you play could like benefit from those things just kind of being tossed in there hazardly?
yeah, for sure.
For sure. All right. All right. All right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the mental benefits of being in a business, right, in a fantasy world. So you kind of touched on it earlier with the there's no real failure, right? The only person you're going to
Mhm.
hurt is your little elf Yahoo who's running around causing havoc uh, in their van down by the river. If their tea company fails, that's on them, right? So how do you think that would play out in most of people's minds, right? Having to go through that fake failure ahead of time or fake success.
Going through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it was a failure, I'd be like, okay, well, this was a good learning experience. And if it's a success, it's like, cool, well, maybe this gives me a little bit of a confidence boost to actually try and do this thing in the real world. Or maybe it's a failure and you're like, you know what, if that's the worst that can happen, can also be a bit of a confidence boost to try and do this in the real world because I've already experienced, it not working and I'm still totally fine. And maybe that is enough for people to kind of give it a go and see that it could potentially be successful. And if it's not the end of the world.
Okay. So for us business owners, what about when recovering from a lost business? You mean one every once in a while you got to shut things down and things go to trash IRL, right? Do you feel like having a business be successful in game will allow you to kind of deal with those emotions in a positive light?
Yeah, I think so because like like in games, like it's all about like simulation. So
Hmm.
like if you fail once, you can just like like do like a new game per se, and then try it again, do a different concept and all that stuff. So in a way, like if you're playing a game that's kind of like similar to like a real world kind of scenario, you can play as much as you want. Kind of like Sims, for
Hmm.
example, right? Like you build up your own home, build your careers and whatnot, and then you kind of see like, hey, if you do this choice, this is what consequences it has. So if you kind of like model that with like real life stuff,
Hmm.
then it kind of like helps you, I guess, like skip the failure part or at least minimize the risk.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you on that one. What about you, Carly?
Yeah, I think something that came to my mind was essentially thinking about, if you're fully immersed in the game, you're fully immersed in the life of your character. um it's like an imaginary scenario, and our brains can't actually distinguish from what is imaginary or just in our minds and what is physical or in real life. We still have the same physiological reactions, we still have the same emotions if we're really immersed in it. It's like when you think back to a memory that was really happy and you start to actually feel happy, your brain doesn't actually know that you're not there right now. So to be going through these, like you're saying, to be going through these experiences, building these businesses, maybe having them fail, having whatever those experiences are feel really real, feel really immersive, you are building that resilience that you will bring with you into your real life because your brain literally doesn't know the difference.
That's a solid fact to have. So on that kind of outlet, right, for the success and the failures. Uh, let's say you fail out terribly, and it replicates something that happened in real life. Uh, where you find there would be a positive benefit to being able to express the general negative emotions you can't express IRL, right? So like, for example, you can lose your business in real life and you can't go beat up the person that made it fail, right? But in game you
And
can 100% go do that. Do you guys feel like that would be relatively cathartic? Cathartic? If I could say the word right.
I think it could be, if you're angry and that's a healthy way for you to express your anger and to process that emotion, then absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like it's better to just beat up pixels compared to like beating somebody up in real life.
Right.
So if it's
Okay.
like like if it's a good outlet for you, then by all means.
Okay. Good. So we're gonna go on to the next little bits of questions. So, if you were playing these games, what kind of businesses would you guys start? Starting with RG.
um, well, I didn't really think of that.
Uh oh, on the spot. Create a
I
business.
know.
10 seconds. Get your pitch notes
I
ready.
I guess like kind of like just simulator kind of games. Like if I want to be on like I don't know, like let's say if I want to be on a hotel business,
Hmm.
for example, I should probably have a game about hotel simulation, like hiring, ops, marketing, sales, like setting up processes and all that stuff. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, so you're saying you'd make a very highly mechanical addition to your games, right? Be all about the numbers and the actual processes and being super nitty gritty with how things are going. That sounds like a lot of fun. Uh, But I'm going to re-ask the question: what business would you start? You said hotels. Is there any others that you would be interested in doing?
Um, Actually, right now I'm trying to like find like laundromat kind of businesses. Um, that's something I really want to do. So yeah, maybe something related to that,
Interesting. Okay.
like running like a laundromat.
And
I know it's kind of sounds stupid, but like that's really something I'm looking at right now, and like to expand like a dog boarding business kind of thing.
nice. Well, so I can tell you right now, if you're playing a campaign where you're in a single city, just doing your thing in that one city, you could totally have a washing clothes business or I mean, so generally when we talk about these games, we set them in like the medieval fantasy time. But there is so many TTRPGs out there that you can set them in any time. They can be modern day, they can be future, all that fun stuff. So like, if you're worried about technology or silly things like that limiting your choice of what you can do, you shouldn't, because there's so many choices out there that you can do and play. All right, Carleigh, what about you? Same kind of question. What business would you
Mhm.
want to do, and how do you think you would implement it if you were running a game?
Yeah, so the first thing that came to my mind, again, thinking about the games that are about shooty shooty stab stab, was essentially like a buy and sell weapon fixer upper place. Like at first I was like, oh, I could make weapons, and then I was like, oh, but even better, weapons break, and I could buy them for cheap and then fix them up and then sell them to whomever needs a weapon. I probably really would mainly try to stick to one side. Otherwise, I feel like it's a bit of a conflict of interest. But I think how I would implement that is like I don't know, your weapon broke and I'll buy it from you for cheap. And then now you need another weapon. Do you want to buy this one back? Or essentially that's just, paying me to fix it up. But someone else can buy it or, have a bit of like a pawn shop for weapons.
Okay, a pawn shop for weapons. I like that. Now, again, going back to in a van down by a river, do you think that is a business you could travel with and have it, be in the back of your cart or something like that? Or is that
I
something you
do,
would need?
absolutely. I'm sitting in a van right now. I think, look, in real life, I do not have the skills to like fix up weapons, but I'm picturing like kind of a portable like masonry setup where I have or like a portable weapon fixer machine. I don't know what that looks like. There's sword sharpeners and other things, special glues and cutters and little welders and shit like that. Like I'm sitting in my van right now. There's absolutely space in the back of the van that we could have all of those tools and a little like weapon store. I would never have too many at one time. It's like I'm always like recycling them. They're coming in and then they're going back out onto the battlefield.
Okay, so silly follow-up question to your imaginary business here. Would you have it be to where you have to roll in things on every single weapon you pick up, or would it kind of just be like a yada yada, we did a whole bunch and it's produced, How in
That's a really good question. um, I mean, I think I would enhance all of them for
Mhm.
sure. I think it depends on how, like, you're saying, do you have to kind of pick up every weapon that you come across? If that thing's too far gone,
Well,
maybe we can do something creative with it.
more like, would you like it to be like, I've picked up 20 weapons on the battlefield, I roll a d20 and was able to fix 16 of them? Or is it going to be, I picked up this long sword, I'm going to roll for this long sword to make it better, and, that kind of thing? Like, how detailed are you going to get in this business? So, just as an example,
I like the first option.
say that again, sorry.
I like the first
The
option,
first option,
the
easy
roll
peasy.
for all 20 time.
There we go. Okay, cool. So you're a little bit laissez-faire with the details, which is good. You know what I mean? It definitely speeds things up and allows you to do other stuff. So when we're doing these businesses in game, right? Because we've had both of you kind of give your opinions, and one of you is very much detail orientated. The other one is kind of like we're just telling a story and moving on. Um, how would you implement this at post playing it in game? Right? So if you have a successful or a failure of a business, how do you think you guys would take your businesses that you just told me about and implement them IRL? I'll give you 10 seconds to think on this one. So while you guys are thinking and contemplating, I'm going to talk about my imaginary business really quick. Is that all right?
Yep.
Stall for time over here. It'll be okay. Uh, So in our game, I generally start a business, but instead of it being a something that my character personally does, he goes through and buys other businesses and things. So he goes through and just picks stuff up. If there's a shop that's down on its luck, he will invest and put money into and buy weapons for and fix things up, and then he'll move on and he'll get money on the down end. So instead of spending all that time being hyper focused on one thing that you're doing, it's I can have 48 different things and do all of them at the same time. Oh, hey, look. Um, Someone talked in this thing. I think it's a bot, though. Dang it. I'm so excited. It's a big old message. So, anyway, now that I've explained my silly business, how would you guys implement your imaginary business IRL? Or how do you envision doing such?
Are you talking about like implementing that game into real life or like that business
Yeah.
into real
So
life?
so taking not the game itself, but the imaginary business, right? So like it's successful, failure, whatever. How do you think you could take what you learned from the game and implement it into real life?
I mean, for sure, like, like, I guess, like, I would have more, knowledge going forward and, like, like, how to operate, like, a laundromat for me, for example.
Hmm.
What kind of, like, tools, parts, maintenance, and all that stuff will I need to be aware of, moving forward, if I actually operate, like, a laundromat, for example. And, like, I guess it kind of would, like, help me eliminate, like, failures if I knew all of that stuff, if I knew who to contact, or like what kind of like person I should be hiring, what kind of like licenses I should be looking from those people in order for me to say, hey, they're qualified to do that, kind of thing. And like basically like researching like local laundry prices, I guess.
Okay.
I don't do laundry outside, so but
Fair, fair.
but like that's just something that like I'm thinking of, but yeah, hopefully that makes sense.
No, no, that totally makes sense. And I'll touch on it after Carly goes because you brought up something good that's worth talking about. So I'll get back to it.
Cool. Well, I mean, first of all, I want to say, Rook, that your silly little game business idea is actually like a really great way to do business in the real world, to be investing in assets and investing in many businesses and not having all of your eggs in one basket. And I think all of us have multiple businesses and understand the importance of diversifying. So that's great that you brought that into the game. Um, I would never have a weapon fixing business in real life. But I guess what I thought of is essentially what my character would be doing is seeing there's this need, there are these things floating around anyways, I can add value to them and put them back into circulation. And that's kind of what I do with at least two of my businesses. Like as a mental health coach, it's like I see this problem. I see that I have a way for people to really add value to their lives and find healing. So I guide them on that journey. And with the cacao, it's like I essentially just take a bunch of dry ingredients that all exist anyways and I put them all together. And that in doing that, it adds value. It's enhancing those dry products. So I guess that's probably why my brain went to like, oh, we'll fix up the broken things. Cause like in a way, that's what I'm drawn to in real life anyways. I don't know how I would implement more of the sword fixing into my real business or what that would look. At first I was like I could make wands, maybe like crystal wands. That sounds cool, but I don't see that happening in the near future.
All right, that's fair enough. Um, so to jump back on the other bit of this, right, is the presence of other people at the table, right? So RG, you kind of
Mm.
talked about parts breaking and dealing with people and like figuring out who to hire and that kind of stuff. That is a wonderful thing that your players that are playing with you, whether you're running the game or you're playing with other people, bring to the table because they will bring up stuff that you don't think of, right? Um, Again, washing parts breaks, talking about like what if they have stuff that's way too big for your washing machines or something that's delicate and
Mm.
small or things like that before you played this game is something you wouldn't have even thought of, you know what I mean? But when you're running a real business you go, hey, in the game there was a giant and there are actual big people out there too. Probably shouldn't buy the smallest washer possible, even though it's the cheapest. Or I need to have at least one big one for those loads that are just ridiculous. um, I'm gonna have Yahoo's come in and break and steal things. I got to account for that when I'm planning, and what I mean, dealing with that stuff gives you a bit of informational knowledge on how people will interact with your business outside of the game, right? Because we're playing characters, but we're still gonna do things that real people will do. Besides maybe cast magic. You gotta get magic insurance. I'm sorry, you're in the wrong part of town. Um, with the fix it shop, the traveling agency, your players will endeavorly be the ones that are gathering all the things for you because you said you're like a passive person. So I'm gonna say you're gonna be some kind of healer or cleric or something on that is more of a support character than a pokey pokey stabby stabby person. Um, So with your business, the benefit of having all those other people is they would do the hard work for you, quote unquote, right? So you don't have to get your hands dirty. And then you would get to deal with the interactions of, we'll say, customers, right? Because the DM gets to play the role of whoever you're dealing with, kind of thing, and they can act like an asshole. So you have the opportunity to deal with assholes in game, right? People that are trying to cheat you, trying to steal things from you, shorthand you, whatever, right? And that can be other people across the table, or it could just be imaginary NPC that you're dealing with, right? So the advantage of playing these TTRPGs is they do bring a big human element that helps
Yeah.
fix those splatter points in like a simulation that you're just playing on the computer by yourself, right? They add a bit of chaos and reality that can push forward your idea into a more what's the right word for this? I don't want to say malleable, but uh, tried and true method, perhaps. You know what I mean? Something along those lines. So, all that being said, if you had an ideal group of people that were traveling with you and helping you in your business, what kind of people would you be looking for in your imaginary business? We talked about hiring people and stuff like that. Well, who do you think you would want to hire in your imaginary businesses, and why? RG, you good? You look like you're having difficulties over there.
Yeah, I'm good. Can you repeat the question?
So, in this imaginary business, again, we're gonna keep touching on this because that's the theme for tonight. How would you, or who would you like to be in your adventuring party? Who would your closest people be while you're running this business, and what would they do, and why? Would you want a lot of
Right.
people in your party? Just a couple? What are your thoughts?
For a laundromat, like you don't really need a lot of people, from what I understand, because you really just need you to basically collect money and then exchange that for like coins or bills, and then you just put it back. Um, you like I want to say like I would just probably need like one or two people to kind of like do the shifts. If I want to introduce like kind of like a wash and fold service, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I'm gonna need somebody who's gonna be washing the clothes, I guess, and folding the clothes after.
Okay,
And then kind of pass it off to like a delivery network, so they can pick up and deliver laundry.
gotcha. So you want someone who's fast and is kind of a gopher would be your ideal adventuring party in this
Yeah, it's more
scenario
of
where you're
a
running
like,
a laundry store. All right,
yep, very lean operations, I guess.
interesting. Okay, okay. What about marketing? Would you have someone that could, sing your ballad on the corner and tell people where the laundromat's at? Would you invest in that?
I kind of envision me doing it, I guess,
Okay, okay. So
because
you'd be the PR guy.
that's
Interesting.
yeah, that's something I like doing, like
Okay,
marketing stuff.
nice. Okay, interesting. Let's see. We'll jump over to you, Carleigh.
Yeah, marketing was the second thing I thought of. I think I would hire between 2 and 3 people initially. I thought two, but sometimes it might be nice to have 2 people running around on the battlefield and collecting weapons and cleaning them, cleaning all like the blood and guts and bullshit off. So when they bring it to me, I can be the one that enhances them and makes them nice. Um, and then have that person singing the ballads and like holding fancy weapons, being like, do 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 do, come get your weapons. Um, well, I can be just kind of hiding and making the weapons or like fixing them up in the background.
Okay, interesting, interesting. So in your imaginary businesses, what time setting would you imagine would be the best for what you're doing?
Hmm. Around the medieval days.
Medieval. Okay, so you're thinking high fantasy, dragons and a lot.
Yeah.
All right, cool. RG, what about you? What time frame do you think
Um,
your business would succeed the best in?
Present times for sure.
Present time. Okay, so not futuristic. You're like right now. You're gonna do
Right now,
real life with dice. I like it. It's good.
people are
Uh,
lazy right now
that's fair.
compared
To
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 before.
be
You
fair,
know.
I'm pretty sure people are lazy all whenever, but that's just how people be. Um, so let's see here. we've talked about your guys' businesses. We've talked about who you would have with you, ideas of why it's important to have those other people playing those games. Um, what about the what's the right way to put this? Sorry. What about the positive aspects of just having this as a side bit to your campaign? So, what do you guys feel like this? Would this business be the whole campaign, and then the other stuff happened on the side, or would it be a side business that you kind of came back to in between adventures?
I think it would be a side business. But
Okay.
I think for my character, it would be the main campaign, but the game itself is like there are battles and there's all this other shit happening and I'm like this little side human who's like, I've got weapons.
Okay. So you think in the grand scheme of things you would be a side character, but for you as a player, you would that would be your focus. All you would care about is the business. To heck with the adventuring. Just give me swords to clean and hand out to people. Okay.
I mean, I'll
Interesting.
adventure on the way, but I'm not gonna stab anybody. Unless I really have to.
Noted. Noted. All right. RG, what about you?
Um, I want to say it's more of like a side for me. Because like initially, like you would do like I guess like the marketing portion, but like towards the like as you progress, it should be running like like the marketing for it should be running out like by itself. Because people will start using the laundromat or whatever. And then I would just kind of be like more of like a semi absentee owner,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Because like at that point, like you just literally, like just make sure everything runs good. Not, you call for maintenance and all that stuff.
Sorry, someone is very excited in the hallway outside my door. That's my youngest, probably being chased by his mother. Uh, anyway, loud squealy voices aside, I think that's a good place to have it, right? Especially when you're playing a lot of these games. The main focus is generally the fighting, the rolling stats, the interacting with people outside of whatever you're doing. But having a home base to come back to and to have these businesses as a hey, we're going to spend 10 minutes rolling through the clothes washing business, or hey, we're going to spend 10 minutes selling all the swords, all the weapons, all the what I mean. So you get your moment to shine with your business and have fun and get that quote unquote passive income later. You know what I mean? After you spend a few missions, game sessions coming back and forth and be like, all right, it should be handled. Just give me the gold so we can go do other things. Uh, that's pretty generally a natural progression in these games. Just so you guys know. I mean, you start with the side quest that might be really important in the beginning, but after a while, it's just kind of like it's there. We're doing things, whatever. Um, Now, if you guys were to play a game, like you as people, not necessarily your fake business, um, what what do you think your class would be? I kind of pointed out what I thought you guys would be, but if you were to play and you were to pick out a character, what kind of character do you think you would run?
Can we have some options?
Options. No, you have to know everything by heart. Gosh dang it. So we're gonna stick with four major trophy types, right? So you got some kind of like fighter, right? You'd have some kind of healer, some kind of support in between those two, and then some kind of like engineer and or defender. So there's five choices for y'all. Of those five, where do you think you as a player would want to play? Like just for funsies, you playing the game, where would you jump in at?
Yeah, I think you mentioned this for me earlier, Rook. I would definitely be either a healer or the support human in between, kind of a healer and a was the fighter the one that it was in between?
Sure, we'll just call
Be
it
a
a fight.
healer in sure, in between like a healer and a defender,
Okay.
not an offender.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely a cleric. Net check. If you're playing D&D, play a cleric. Uh,
Okay.
RG, what about you?
I haven't really thought of this, but I want to say maybe like on the engineering side,
Okay.
because you kind of like work on things in the background and all that stuff. I guess like operation stuff.
Interesting. Okay. So, as an engineer, if you ever played D&D, you'll probably want to play an artificer as they are way more tech orientated and they play with gadgets and
Okay.
stuff like that. I could recommend other classes in other settings, but D&D is the popular one that everyone tries. So, when you guys get into it eventually, because you know me now, that's what we'll start you out with. So we're at the 40-minute mark, and like I said, we're going to wrap this up a little bit early today because I have stuff I have to take care of afterwards. So we're going to give you guys a couple more minutes of self-promo. Whatever you guys want to talk about, your websites, things coming up, spell things out so people understand it, and there's no, oh, I couldn't hear them because there was a glitchy, laggy bit. So starting with RG, talk to me.
Like I mentioned earlier, I do a lot of small and like local business marketing. Essentially, what I do and like a few of like my partners do is basically we go in and like help a local business, see what kind of like tech they're lacking, and then we integrate that into marketing, for them organically where they don't pay for any ads and all that stuff. We essentially integrate it to our softwares because we have a review generation software basically helps you get more reviews on Google, Facebook, Yelp, whatever. And then the other portion that we help integrate is basically a digital loyalty kind of like punch card app.
Okay.
We basically do that for small businesses. This way they get more repeat business because like it helps incentivize repeat visits essentially.
Right.
And like if people are like interested with that, they just want to get like a free consultation, it's totally free, no strings attached. Just go to enzonmedia.com and then we can help strategize your marketing and all that stuff organically.
Awesome. That sounds super helpful. So, and you do outside of California too, right? Because you said you're in California.
Oh yeah.
Okay, just
So
making sure.
these are all something we can do fully remote.
Okay, perfect. So you hear that? Enzonmedia.com, www to start. All right. Carleigh, what about you? What more do you get to add?
So I feel like the thing that really sets me apart as a mental wellness coach is my personal experience. I actually have been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, depression, ADHD, and generalized anxiety disorder. And I don't take any medication because I have learned and mastered how to heal my mind completely naturally. It took me years on this journey before I was at this point. And my mission is really to save other people years of trial and error. I have a very step-by-step program to take you from a place of struggling, of insecurity, of anxiety to move to a place of empowerment and confidence and living the life that you deserve to be living. So if you want to learn more about this program, absolutely come to my website. It's manasmastery.com. That's MANAS mastery. And we can hop on a free discovery call. You can download my free guide to get you started on your journey and come to my online workshop as well.
You said that's next Wednesday, right? This coming Wednesday?
Yeah.
So day
Yeah,
before
the
Thanksgiving?
22nd. Yeah, see, I'm not American and I didn't realize that when I scheduled.
Okay, well,
But
so
it's the day before. So like
right. In between cooking the turkey, get on over there. But that's awesome. I mean, honestly, just hearing the story itself is a powerful thing to hear, right? That it's a possibility because I know a lot of people that are in those spaces are at a hopeless point in their lives. So there possibly being a solution and a step-by-step guide sounds like a wonderful thing to push forward. So thank you for that at a minimum. Secondly, my turn to talk. We have an event coming up Saturday and Sunday. We'll be at the Bentley Mall for you local peeps. Next week is games as usual. If you guys want to save 10% off at the website, this month's code for what little is left of the month is thanks 907. Actually, no, sorry, it's just thanks with an exclamation point. Sorry, I didn't make it this time. It was younger. It's his fault. He didn't even show up tonight. We're going to beat him up later. Sorry, Younger is the business partner that's generally also here causing havoc, but I'm pretty sure he's sick tonight. So, with all that, with adventure in mind, have a wonderful time. You guys, if you'll stick around a little bit afterwards, I'd be appreciative. You'll hear the music and the extra and all that fun stuff. And yeah, maybe, perhaps, if I can find the right button. Bye.